Look at the current digital mental health landscape. You have two dominant modes: the high-anxiety, performative theater of social media feeds, and the isolated, unstructured void of a blank digital journal. Neither of these environments sustains emotional health over the long term. The performative side burns users out, and the blank page offers too little scaffolding to keep them engaged, leading to rapid behavioral fatigue and high app abandonment. DunbarrioSolo rejects both ends of the spectrum. It operates as a strictly private relational skills practice tool, a structured environment where you work on how you connect, completely out of public view. This splash screen sets the tone immediately. By asking you to prepare your quiet room alongside a solfege scale, the app signals a move away from high dopamine engagement loops and toward deliberate, paced reflection. By removing the social feedback loop, the interface shifts the user's focus inward. This structure is designed to address the specific burnout patterns found in more performative environments. In digital product design, a relational skills practice tool means encoding the mechanics of actual therapeutic exercises into the daily user experience. To do this, the application relies on three specific pillars of clinical science: network science for organizing relationships, affective theory for processing feelings, and object relations for creating a safe space to express them. These theories map directly into physical UI. Network science becomes the circle architecture. Affective theory becomes a tactile mood dial, and object relations theory takes the form of digital mascots. Tying these three physical layers together is a strictly bounded, ephemeral AI. It processes the text and the emotional data, but it discards all of it instantly, ensuring your privacy remains absolute. True behavioral technology cannot rely on open-ended conversational chatbots. It must physically encode clinical psychology into its tactile software architecture. In sociology, Dunbar's number suggests a cognitive limit to how many stable relationships a human can maintain. We naturally organize these relationships into stratified, concentric layers based on emotional intimacy and energy. This interface translates sociological theory into circle architecture, organizing distinct tiers: family, home slices, overseas, and work brain trust vibe. Looking at home slices, we see avatars for specific people. You must actively place contacts into these specific tiers. Recent network science research confirms that people distribute their emotional energy highly unevenly, particularly across the middle layers of their social graph. We invest heavily in our core crew and far less as the circles expand outward. This view of the individual member cards shows how the application mathematically bounds your social graph. There are discrete slots within a tier, forcing you to prioritize who belongs where. The system scales from 3 circles on the free tier up to 16 circles on the highest tier, capping at 144 total contacts. This ceiling intentionally rests right below Dunbar's theoretical maximum of roughly 150 relationships. User interface dictates user behavior. By requiring you to manually group people into these constrained circles, the software creates a literal map of where your relational energy flows. Zooming in from that macro network view, we reach the micro-level act of connection, the embrace. This process trains emotional granularity, the clinical term for the ability to make fine-grained distinctions between specific feelings. High granularity is a proven, measurable protective factor against anxiety and poor emotional regulation. On the Embrace screen, you find Plutchik's wheel of emotions mapped into a spatial interface. Right now, this 8-segment rotary dial is set to affectionate. Every time you open this screen, the dial starts blank. It has zero memory of your last session. This deliberate UX decision forces you to make a manual choice about what you are feeling in this exact moment, serving as a micro-practice session in emotional differentiation. The tactile friction of snapping the rotary interface into place physicalizes the cognitive act of labeling the emotion. Adding deliberate friction to an interface prevents mindless scrolling. It transforms a generic digital mood tracker into an active, protective cognitive exercise. To hold the emotional weight of these entries, the app utilizes Donald Winnicott's object relations theory, specifically the concept of transitional objects that bridge our internal emotional state with external reality. This mascot selection screen offers a diverse cast of illustrated characters, acting as digital transitional objects. By assigning a specific character to a relationship, you process feelings by writing to the mascot, bypassing fear of direct human confrontation. While the mood dial tracks the quality of the emotion, the application also needs a quantitative measurement of your physical engagement. This is the energizer. To send an embrace, you must hold this vertical slider for 5 seconds. The interface physically brightens toward white as you push the slider higher, requiring you to operationalize how much emotional investment you are putting into the entry. The system outputs a precise, two-dimensional coordinate for every entry. It captures the specific mood quality from the dial and the physical intensity from the slider hold. Measuring the physical time and tactile friction you invest in a digital action yields a much deeper, more accurate representation of your emotional state than analyzing text alone. Processing intimate, two-dimensional emotional data creates an immediate privacy paradox. Most digital platforms would extract this data to monetize the user or train their models. DunbarrioSolo uses a private-by-default architecture. Submitted entries are encrypted via AES 256, processed securely, and instantly dissolve after generating a response. Text exists in the AI's memory for only seconds, and private entries are never used to train foundational models. This strict bounding extends to the AI's behavior to prevent it from becoming sycophantic. Mental health chatbots often default to endless, unconditional validation, which can create a false, dependent therapeutic alliance. The mascot AI is hard-coded with severe architectural constraints. It is limited to 1 to 3 sentences per reply, and it can only speak in the specific, predefined voice of the character you selected. The system is prompted to receive the emotional entry, not to fix it. It does not offer diagnoses, life advice, or attempt to solve your interpersonal conflicts. The interaction is entirely stateless. The AI has no memory of previous entries or conversations. It acts only as a momentary mirror. These architectural constraints, short responses, character voice, and ephemeral memory, are designed specifically to prioritize user privacy and psychological safety over standard engagement metrics. On Sundays, the app compiles a week's worth of these isolated, ephemeral coordinates into a synthesis phase called the weekly weave. The weave uses cinematic title cards and narrative pacing to present the week's data through the eyes of the mascots, Ziku and Kiko. To generate this portrait, the AI analyzes a multimodal data stream, the Plutchik emotion tokens you selected, your physical energizer levels, text sentiment, how you distributed your entries across your circles, and your streak behavior. This narrative uses a growth edge protocol. The AI strips out flattery, delivering objective observations, like noting you are quietly holding everything. It detects nuanced patterns, like moving between grief and joy, presenting them clearly. Staring at raw data points and isolated charts rarely yields actual insight. Data generates genuine self-awareness only when it is synthesized into an objective, longitudinal narrative. This highly constrained, tactile approach stands in direct opposition to the broader tech industry's rush to deploy infinite scroll, open-ended CBT chatbots. DunbarrioSolo's structural limits, the strict Dunbar social layers, physical dial, and hold requirement, protect the user from the illusion that the AI is their friend. The methodology succeeds because it respects the absolute limits of software. It relies on the physical user interface to capture reality, and uses AI only to briefly reflect it back. Tracing the path from clinical network science down to the physical friction of a thumb slider proves that effective behavioral technology is simply psychology encoded into code. The future of digital mental health does not require building an AI that perfectly simulates a human therapist. It requires building digital holding environments that help humans practice connecting with each other.